Welcome to Simple English. Strong mind. Here, your words grow stronger, and so does your heart.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Simple English, Strong Mind. I'm Emily, and today I'm really excited about our topic.
And I'm Liam. It's great to be here with all of you today. Emily, I've been looking forward to this conversation all week.
Me too, Liam. Today we're diving into something that almost everyone struggles with at some point. Discipline. It's a word that both inspires and intimidates people.
Absolutely. Everyone wants more of it, but few people feel they truly have it. And there are so many misconceptions around what discipline actually is.
That's right. Many people think discipline is about forcing yourself to do things you hate or having some kind of superhuman willpower. But that's not what real discipline is about at all.
Exactly. In this episode, we are going to debunk 3 common myths about discipline and then share 7 practical strategies that anyone can use to build genuine discipline in their lives.
And the best part? These aren't just theories. We'll share personal stories from our own experiences, both successes and failures.
So if you've ever felt that you lack discipline or willpower, this episode might completely change how you view yourself and what you're capable of.
Let's start by addressing those 3 big myths about discipline. The first one is something I believed for years. You either have discipline or you don't.
I've heard that one a lot. What made you realize it wasn't true?
Well, I used to watch people who seemed naturally disciplined. You know, those friends who never miss their workout or always stick to their study schedule. I thought they had something I didn't.
I know exactly what you mean. I used to label myself as lazy because I couldn't stick with habits that other people seemed to maintain effortlessly.
But what I eventually realized is that discipline is more like a muscle than a personality trait. It can be trained, strengthened, and developed over time. It's not something you're born with.
That's such an important distinction. And it reminds me of something James Clear says in Atomic Habits. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become.
I love that quote. It's about building your identity through consistent small actions, not about being perfect from day one.
For me, the turning point came when I realized I wasn't actually lazy. I was just exhausted, distracted, and unclear about what I really wanted. I didn't need more willpower. I needed a better environment and system.
That's fascinating, and it leads perfectly into our second myth. Discipline is about forcing yourself to do things. What are your thoughts on that one, Liam?
This myth caused me so much suffering. I used to think being disciplined meant saying no to everything enjoyable. No games, no treats, no breaks, just pure suffering and sacrifice.
Oh no, the discipline martyr approach.
Exactly. But real discipline feels more like alignment. When your goals and actions are friends, not enemies, everything flows more naturally.
I experienced this with learning piano. When I was younger, practicing was a chore my parents made me do. I had to force myself. But when I returned to it as an adult, because I genuinely wanted to play music I loved, the discipline came much more naturally.
That's such a perfect example. When you enjoy even some aspect of the process, discipline becomes so much easier. It's not about gritting your teeth through misery.
And now for myth number 3. Discipline is all about big goals and dramatic changes. This one is particularly harmful.
How so?
Well, people think they have to make these grand transformations, like going to the gym for 2 hours every day or completely overhauling their diet overnight. But that's usually a recipe for burnout and giving up.
So true. I remember trying to wake up at 4 a.m. because I read about some CEO who did that. It lasted exactly 2 days before I was a complete zombie.
Oh no, the 4 a.m. club claimed another victim.
But what I've learned since then is that small, consistent actions are actually much more powerful in the long run. It's not the intensity that matters most, it's the consistency.
There's that quote you mentioned earlier from Atomic Habits. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Yes, that quote changed everything for me. It means discipline isn't about being a superhero who never falters. It's about designing your life so the path of least resistance leads to good habits.
So to recap these myths, discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's not about forcing yourself, but finding alignment. And it's not about dramatic transformations, but small, consistent actions.
Emily, what would you say to someone who's believed these myths their whole life and now feels discouraged?
I'd say be gentle with yourself. If you've been trying to build discipline through willpower alone, it's not your fault that it hasn't worked. Our culture promotes these myths everywhere.
And remember, recognizing these misconceptions is the first step toward real change. Now let's get into those practical strategies for building authentic discipline.
Yes. Let's start with strategy number 1. Start with identity, not outcomes.
This was game-changing for me. Can you explain what that means?
Of course. Most people start with outcomes. I want to lose weight, or I want to write a book. But this approach creates pressure and often failure. Instead, start by asking, who do I want to become?
I did this with reading. I stopped saying I want to read more and started saying I am a reader. That small shift made picking up a book feel natural, not like a chore.
That's exactly it. When I wanted to exercise more, I didn't wait until I was fit to call myself an active person. I started with that identity first. I'm someone who moves every day.
Do you think that works for everyone, even people who have failed at building habits many times?
I think it's especially powerful for people who have failed before. Instead of focusing on what you couldn't do in the past, you're creating a new self-image for the future.
And each small action reinforces that new identity. Like James Clear says, every action is a vote for the person you want to become.
Yes, and small actions add up. Drinking water instead of soda, that's a vote for a healthy person. Sitting down to write for 5 minutes, that's a vote for being a writer.
So strategy 1 is about starting with identity. Ask yourself, who do I want to be? Then take daily actions, even tiny ones, that align with that identity.
Now let's move to strategy number 2. Make it ridiculously easy to start.
I love this one. It completely changed how I approach habits.
How did it work for you?
Well, I used to set these ambitious goals like study for 2 hours every night. But after a long day, that felt overwhelming and I'd just skip it.
I've definitely been there. The intention is there, but the energy isn't.
Exactly. So now I use what's called the 2-minute rule. I tell myself I'll just study for 2 minutes. Just open the book and read 1 page.
And does that actually work? Do you end up doing more?
Most of the time, yes. Once I start, momentum kicks in and I'll often study for 30 minutes or more. But even if I only do 2 minutes, I still win because I kept the habit alive.
I did something similar with journaling. I couldn't maintain a practice of writing pages every day, so I switched to just write 1 sentence. Some days, that's all I wrote, but other days I'd fill pages. The key was making the starting threshold so low I couldn't fail.
That's such an important point. We often fail not at completing things, but at starting them in the first place.
And the beauty of this approach is that it builds confidence. Each time you follow through on even a tiny commitment, you strengthen your belief in your ability to show up.
What would you say to someone who feels silly setting such small goals?
I'd remind them that consistency beats intensity over time. A 2-minute daily habit maintained for a year will transform your life more than an intense 2-hour session you do once and then abandon.
Absolutely. So strategy 2 is make starting ridiculously easy. 2 minutes, 1 step, 1 breath. That's enough to begin.
Let's move on to strategy number 3. Make your environment work for you, not against you.
This one changed my life more than anything else. I used to think I had a motivation problem, but I actually had a design problem.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I kept trying to eat healthier, but my kitchen was full of chips and cookies. I tried to study, but my phone was right next to me, lighting up with notifications every few minutes.
So you were constantly fighting your environment rather than having it support your goals.
Exactly. There's a saying I love, don't rely on willpower, rely on smart design.
I experienced this with piano practice. When I kept my keyboard in the closet, guess what? I never practiced. But when I set it up in the middle of my living room, I naturally sat down to play when I walked by.
That's the perfect example. The things you see or don't see affect what you do. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. Want to eat healthier? Put fruit at eye level in your fridge.
And this works for reducing bad habits too. I removed social media apps from my home screen. I can still access them by searching, but that tiny bit of friction helps me be more intentional.
I think people underestimate how powerful these small environmental changes can be. They keep trying to be stronger instead of making their environment work for them.
Exactly. Discipline doesn't just live in your head. It lives in your kitchen, your phone, your desk, everywhere around you.
So strategy 3 is design your environment to make good habits obvious and easy and bad habits invisible and difficult.
Now for strategy 4. Use friction to your advantage. This is related to what we just discussed, but with an interesting twist.
How would you explain the concept of friction?
Friction is anything that makes an action harder or easier to do. For good habits, we want to reduce friction. But for bad habits, we actually want to increase it.
I did this with YouTube. I used to waste hours watching videos before bed. So I did one small thing. I logged out of my account. It added just 10 seconds of friction, but it was enough to make me pause and reconsider.
That's so simple but smart. Did it work?
It reduced my mindless watching by probably 70%. That little pause was enough to break the automatic pattern.
I did something similar with my social media apps. I renamed them to things like, do you really want this? It sounds silly, but that moment of awareness helped me catch myself.
I think that's the key word, awareness. Bad habits often happen on autopilot, but when you add friction, you create a moment of consciousness where you can make a choice.
And you can use friction in the other direction too. Want to drink more water? Keep a bottle on your desk. Want to exercise in the morning? Sleep in your workout clothes.
Yes, one of my students wanted to practice English listening daily, so she set her phone to automatically open a podcast app whenever she connected her headphones.
So strategy 4 is use friction like a traffic light. Green light for good habits, make them fast and easy. Red light for bad habits, slow them down or block the path.
Let's talk about strategy 5. Don't do it alone. Use social support.
This one is so underrated. People think discipline is something you do in isolation, but we're social creatures. Our habits are heavily influenced by the people around us.
I experienced this when I joined a writing group. We didn't even talk much. We just logged on at the same time, kept our cameras on, and wrote silently. But knowing others were showing up made me show up too.
That's such a powerful example. Sometimes it's not even about accountability. It's about that sense of shared purpose and not wanting to let others down.
How have you used social support in your own life?
I had a friend who would text me every morning, "Did you meditate today?" Just that one message changed everything. Not because I felt guilty, but because I felt seen. Someone cared about my goal.
And I think that's why community matters so much. We borrow strength from each other when our own motivation is low.
There's also something called social contagion. We naturally adopt the behaviors of people around us. When I started hanging out with avid readers, guess what happened? I started reading more often too.
That's happened to me as well. The 5 people you spend the most time with shape your habits more than almost anything else.
So strategy 5 is build discipline through community. Find accountability partners, join groups with similar goals, or just surround yourself with people who embody the habits you want to develop.
And remember, asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise.
Now for strategy 6. Track progress and celebrate small wins.
I've heard mixed things about tracking. Some people say it helps, others say it makes them obsessive. What's your take?
It really depends on the person and the habit, but what research shows is that tracking creates awareness, and awareness is the first step to change.
What's a simple way someone could start tracking without getting overwhelmed?
One of the easiest methods is what's called the don't break the chain technique. Just mark an X on a calendar for each day you do your habit. Your only goal is to not break the chain of X's.
I did something similar with learning Spanish. I had a small notebook where I wrote down how many minutes I practiced each day. Nothing fancy, but seeing those numbers add up was incredibly motivating.
And that's where celebrating small wins comes in. Most people only celebrate when they reach a big milestone, but research shows that acknowledging tiny progress is what keeps motivation high.
What counts as a small win worth celebrating?
Anything that represents progress, no matter how small. Went for a 5-minute walk? That's worth celebrating. Read 3 pages of a book? Celebrate that. These micro victories build momentum.
I think many of us are too hard on ourselves. We focus on how far we still have to go rather than appreciating how far we've come.
Exactly. We need to be our own cheerleaders. Each small step deserves recognition because those steps are what ultimately lead to big changes.
How do you personally celebrate small wins? Any specific techniques?
I keep a win jar where I write down small accomplishments on slips of paper. At the end of the month, I read them all. It's amazing how much progress we forget if we don't record it.
That's such a great idea. I might start doing that too.
So strategy 6 is track your progress in a simple way and deliberately celebrate small wins along the journey. Don't wait for the destination to feel satisfied.
And finally, strategy 7, build a meaningful why.
This might be the most important strategy of all. Without a compelling reason behind your habits, discipline will always feel like a chore.
What makes a why truly meaningful? How is it different from just having a goal?
A goal is what you want to achieve, but your why is the deeper reason behind it. It's not, I want to exercise more, but I want to be healthy enough to play with my grandchildren someday.
I experienced the power of this with my writing. When I was writing just to become an author, I struggled with consistency. But when I connected it to helping others overcome challenges I'd faced, suddenly the motivation was much stronger.
That's such a perfect example. When your habits serve something bigger than yourself, discipline becomes a form of service, not sacrifice.
I've also found that connecting habits to your core values makes them more sustainable. If kindness is a core value, meditation becomes a way to be more present and kind with others.
A simple way to find your why is to keep asking yourself, why does this matter? 5 times. Each answer gets you closer to the core motivation.
Do you think people can have different whys for different habits?
Absolutely. Your reason for learning a language might be different from your reason for exercising. The important thing is that the motivation feels authentic and meaningful to you.
So our final strategy is connect your habits to a deeper purpose or value. When discipline serves something meaningful, it becomes easier to maintain.
We've covered a lot today. Let's recap all 7 strategies for building real discipline.
Strategy 1. Start with identity, not outcomes. Focus on becoming the type of person who has your desired habits.
Strategy 2, make it ridiculously easy to start. Lower the bar so you can't fail to begin.
Strategy 3. Make your environment work for you. Design your surroundings to support your goals.
Strategy 4, use friction to your advantage. Add barriers to bad habits and remove them from good habits.
Strategy 5. Don't do it alone. Use social support and accountability to strengthen your commitment.
Strategy 6, track progress and celebrate small wins. Acknowledge every step forward, no matter how tiny.
And strategy 7, build a meaningful why. Connect your habits to deeper values and purposes.
I hope these strategies help you see discipline in a new light. It's not about being perfect or never failing. It's about creating systems that make good habits easier and more natural.
And remember, you don't need to implement all 7 strategies at once. Even just one can make a significant difference.
Liam, if listeners could only focus on one strategy this week, which would you recommend?
That's a great question. I'd probably say strategy 2, make it ridiculously easy to start.
So many people set themselves up for failure with goals that are too ambitious. Starting small almost guarantees some success.
I think that's excellent advice. Small steps consistently taken will get you further than big leaps you can't maintain.
Before we wrap up, we'd love to hear from you. Which of these strategies resonated most? Do you have any discipline techniques that have worked well for you?
Yes, you can leave a comment on our website or send us a message through social media. We'd love to feature your ideas in a future episode.
Thank you so much for listening today. Building discipline isn't always easy, but it becomes much more achievable when you have the right approach.
Until next time, remember that discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about making small, consistent choices that align with who you want to become.
This has been Simple English, Strong Mind. I'm Liam.
And I'm Emily. Take care, everyone.